Our top story tonight, Pooler leaders are considering a plan that could put industrial warehouses right next to Tom Triplett Park and the historic Savannah-Ogeechee Canal. Many residents and volunteers are speaking out, worried about how it could impact the trail, the wildlife, and the park's natural beauty. WSAV's Isabella Baez takes us on a tour to show what they are trying to protect.
Trail surrounded by trees and filled with birds and other wildlife right here by Tom Triplett Park and the Savannah-Ogeechee Canal is now at risk as warehouses could potentially be built right next door.
It's something you just can't find out here anymore. Development is going crazy, and we need to preserve this little spot that we have.
Holly Lewis and Wendy Sevenen with the Savannah-Ogeechee Canal Society took me on a tour of the nature trail they walk frequently, when they say they would hate to see overrun by development.
When you have development, not only are they taking up space, but the runoff, the pollution, the exhaust, whatever is that development or that warehouse or that business is spewing out affects all the wildlife around it.
Pooler City Council is considering passing an ordinance that would allow 3 warehouses to be built at 200 Jessup Road, right next to the park and canal. Along with the warehouses, the developers are also looking to pave a road through the trail that would allow traffic to access their facility, leaving Lewis and others worried about the future of the canal.
They want to build a road coming from the south across this undeveloped land, across the canal and into their property. And that's a real concern because we're here walking along the trail in nature, and all of a sudden we're going to see semi-trucks coming across here.
Sevenen says the project doesn't just impact this trail, but also the homes in the area and the beloved Tom Triplett Park.
Having to look at this warehouse site now. Although there is going to be a 100-foot buffer, there is still going to be visual impact to people who use Tom Triplett Park.
This project will make its way back in front of Pooler City Council on Monday, April 6th. Reporting in Pooler, I'm Isabella Baez, WSAV News 3 on your side.
We are learning more about a deadly stabbing in Effingham County. Authorities have officially identified the suspect and victim. The victim is 28-year-old Chapin McCree and the suspect is 48-year-old James Barla. It happened on March 18th in the 4400 block of Blue Jay Road, where officials say the 2 men got into a fight that left both men with stab wounds. McCree later died at the hospital. Barla is now facing several charges, including felony and malice murder and aggravated assault. Continuing coverage now, the Fort Stewart soldier accused of shooting 5 fellow soldiers on post last year was in court today, changing his plea to guilty. Death by cop, that's what Sergeant Cornelius Radford said he wanted during the August 2025 shooting at Fort Stewart. Radford fired multiple rounds, hitting 2 soldiers in the chest and another in the stomach. He claims the shot was intended for another soldier, but he dodged it. He said he then fired blindly into a nearby room, injuring a woman in the arm and side before fleeing down the hall and shooting a man in the face when he opened the door. The gunfire came to an end when other soldiers subdued Radford, disarming him. Now, the judge accepted Radford's guilty plea for the 6 offenses, but will delay sentencing until June, when the charges he was pleaded not guilty to, including premeditated murder, will be addressed. The Beaufort Police Department is investigating a string of car break-ins in the Mossy Oaks neighborhood. Officers say most of the incidents involved unlocked vehicles, with the suspects taking items left in plain sight. Police have increased patrols in the area and are urging residents to lock their cars and remove valuables, including firearms. Officials ask anyone who sees suspicious activity to call 843-524-2777. It's been all over social media for days, a major law enforcement operation in Jasper County involving ICE. Tonight, we are digging deeper into what really happened and what didn't. WSAV's Andrew Davis speaks one-on-one with the sheriff.
I can safely say probably the largest operation that ever has happened in Jasper County.
Sheriff Chris Malfris is talking about the Saturday morning bust in Jasper County. His deputies, along with Ridgeland Police and ICE, all combined to make dozens of arrests. An operation to end what he calls a criminal enterprise.
What happened Saturday was a targeted operation based off the cockfighting ring and then everything that is developed inside that investigation.
A cockfighting ring behind fenced-in areas in several spots, including off Tammy Drive. Malfris says when officers arrived, people scattered, running and driving away to try to escape.
It was just mass chaos around here Saturday, but we knew it was going to be that way, and that's why we came prepared with the amount of officers that we had.
The sheriff can't offer numbers of detentions or even many details about what they discovered, just that this was a year-long investigation spurred on by alert citizens that helped take criminals off the streets.
When we're attacking something that may not seem as harsh as maybe drug trafficking or anything like that, but it's all coincide together, it works together. The guns and drugs and the cockfighting and all of it.
One of the videos making the rounds came from outside La Poblanita in Ridgeland. Malfra says that business was not a target, but one of the suspects actually ran inside and others barricaded themselves in there as well. That's why the deputies took action. He credits the feds for being a key part of this investigation, but Malfritz wants to make sure this was about criminals, not deportations.
It doesn't matter to me the color, the gender, the race, the nationality. If you break the law in Jasper County, we're going to deal with it. So this has nothing to do with the fact that they're Hispanic or they're from another country. It has to do with the fact that they're breaking law inside our county, and we're not going to stand for that.
Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3 on your side.
Now, Sheriff Malfra says hundreds of animals were also seized during the operation, along with a variety of weapons and other evidence. He says the investigation reaches beyond Jasper County, and he expects more details from federal authorities in the coming days. New details tonight out of Washington after alarm and confusion over a possible immigration and customs enforcement presence at Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island graduation. Officials now say ICE will not be involved. The confusion started after a post on the base's website said ICE agents would be checking IDs of anyone trying to attend ceremonies, and those without proper documents might be questioned by ICE. That message has now been changed to only say federal officials will be present and there would be extra security. Nothing about checking immigration status. We also spoke to ICE officials who tell us their agency will not be there in any capacity. It's unclear if there was a mistake or something changed. Continuing coverage in Savannah, the sentencing of Charles Teeple has been delayed. The man was found guilty of involuntary murder for punching a 66-year-old at Basil's Bar in 2019 and will now face a new court date. Teeple was scheduled to be sentenced March 13th, but his attorneys filed a limited post-trial matter. On March 25th, they requested a conflict in court hearing. State attorneys moved to have jurors' names revealed under seal, citing 2 affidavits in Teeple's brief. On March 30th, Judge Lisa Colbert approved the request. The conflict will now go to a hearing following a week-long trial 3 months ago on whether Teeple's strike caused Himley's death. Now, Teeple's next court date is set for April 7th. WSAV will be there to bring you the latest. A former teacher at a Low-Country elementary school is speaking out, alleging she witnessed abuse inside a classroom. She says a student at Varnville Elementary was hit and dragged and claims her reports were not taken seriously. Taylor Hobbs says during the fall semester, she saw another special education teacher hit a student with an outlet cover, leaving the child bleeding. She also claims the same teacher dragged a student in a walker across the floor. Hobbs says she reported both incidents, but claims the school responded with staff meetings instead of discipline. She says the teacher is still in the classroom and that she ultimately left her job because of what she saw.
Just couldn't take it anymore. They have a hard enough time, being different in a world that's not always accepting to kiddos being different. So just hopefully, we can just go forward.
Now, when Hobbs left her role, she filed a complaint with the Department of Social Services with the help from her school staff. New tonight, the city of Savannah is taking action to address long neglected properties in the historic Kyler-Brownsville neighborhood. Mayor Van Johnson says for years, empty and neglected homes have caused safety problems and made life harder for people living in the area. City leaders are taking legal steps to acquire more than a dozen of these properties along Burroughs Street, Florence Street, and Victory Drive. Once they do, a city program will fix them up and turn them into housing, including affordable homes, giving the community a fresh start.
Just not going to take it anymore. And so this is a clarion call to those folks, particularly those that are equity, private equity firms, and those who are absent landlords where you're just holding on the property, not doing anything. If you're not going to do anything with it, then give it up.
And the city says these efforts will bring on safer streets, better housing, and more opportunities for people in Kyler-Brownsville.